Welcome to the Healing Table Podcast, where faith meets real talk. I'm your host, Javante Wright, and I'm so happy you're here. Here we will dive deep into some of life's toughest topics with honesty, hope, and transparency. Each episode we will have heartfelt conversations, share an uplifting song, and even invite you to cook with us, all aimed at creating a space for healing and renewal. So, pull up a chair, settle in, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to the Healing Table. Hey everyone, so we are here and this is our first episode. I'm so excited to dive into the Healing Table Podcast on today. And the title for today's episode is, I just don't fit in. I know that many times we all feel like this in our lives, but I want to dive into this with two good friends of mine. And at this time, I'm going to introduce them. We have Miss Jordan Mitchell. She is a youth leader. She is an amazing person. She does graphic designs. She's just so talented. If you need anything like that, connect with her. Okay. She's the one to connect with. And I'm also going to introduce Miss Alexandra Gatlin-Cornick, who also is another youth leader and so talented. She's an actress. She does so many things creative with her mind. So at this time, I just want to welcome both of these amazing individuals. And I want to just say thank you first for being here.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing?
Hello, hello, hello.
All right, so let's get started. I just don't fit in. Wanting to be accepted. And also dealing with the identity crisis within the church and outside in the corporate world. So I'm going to ask you a question. Can you share an experience where you struggle with feeling accepted both within the church and in the corporate world?
I'll start. I would say even tonight, I don't know if I really fit in anywhere. If that's an answer. Like, I feel like I've always... Let me rephrase that. I struggled when I was younger to fit in. I don't struggle with it now because I'm not trying to fit in. But I still don't feel like I fit in it in many places, which is not necessarily a bad thing all the time. But yeah, growing up, I was always bigger. I was always the chubby kid, but I was also very tall. So it was a lot of attention on me. I used to get bullied sometimes when people tried to bully me. And so I never really fit in, even from childhood, even within my own family at times. I never really fit in. Some of my interests in different things were just different from other people. I just think different sometimes. So I can't say that I've ever really fit in from childhood to now. But now I don't try to. So I can't say I struggle with it now, but I struggled more when I was younger.
Okay. I definitely get that. I definitely can understand where you're coming from, especially being another person who is I'm big and tall. So I've always had attention, even when I didn't want attention. I feel like I walk into a space, everybody's looking at me, and I've never felt like you. I felt like you, and I never fit into a certain place. I was very different from the people that I was around. So I definitely concur there. Miss Alex, how about you?
So you said within
the church and in the corporate world.
Okay. I would say a two-part, I guess, for both things. My style and then my hair. I have always leaned towards very Afrocentric, very hippie. I'm a self-proclaimed sanctified hippie, or so to speak. So there's a certain style that I love that I gravitate towards that is not always, you don't always see it necessarily in our community of church or like Black church, And then when it comes to my hair, I have locks. I've always had natural hair, since I was like 16. And so as far as the corporate world, I've been even not necessarily a corporate job, but I've been let go for my natural hair. So I've had issues fitting in, so to speak. But I think I am finally at the point where I really just don't care. Like, I'm okay. I'm comfortable in my style, what I wear. And I am blessed now to be at a job that embraces my style and my hair, which is honestly amazing because I would say it's the most corporate type job that I've ever been in. It's a law firm. So, they let me kind of be myself, which is honestly a blessing. So
I definitely get that. And I think, as time goes on, the corporate world will be more accepting of us. I'm at least hoping. I'm hoping because, you can't just let this person go, do this, because you're not going to get anything done. And sometimes we're more qualified than the people that they have in the places. Okay. And they'll bring somebody else in and ask us to train them. And I'm just like, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that, So from experience, what can you say, or I'm gonna word it like this. How do you feel the church can reconcile the tension for those who want to fit into a space and embracing our unique identities that God has given us? Because I feel like sometimes people, they see us and they already start putting us in this category, putting us in this category, and not allowing us to truly be who we're supposed to be and allowing us to blossom in our own identity. So we don't sound like this person and not trying to make us sound like that person. I feel like a lot of times I've seen, specifically in the church, that, if your parent did this, they want you to do this. They want you to sound like this. And sometimes I may not sound like that. I may want to go about it a different way. So how can we do you feel like the church can kind of get into a space where we're actually being open to embracing each person's individual identity?
I feel like the church has to establish the difference between, I had it in my head. Establish a good difference between tradition and I had it. It was I had it in my head and I cannot think of the phrase. I'm gonna pass it over to you until it comes back because I had it in my head.
That's okay.
Oh my God.
I would say I think that we have to stop putting limits on people. God is a limitless God, so he can use anybody in any way. They don't have to look the same or do the same or sound the same as anyone else. And when we're limiting people, in fact, we're limiting God's ability to use somebody. He's able to use vessels of any sort, big, small, young, old, whatever the case may be. But I also think that the church has to do a better job at stop marginalizing people and trying to demonize people for their difference. And stop demonizing things just because you don't understand it. Everything is not demonic. Some things are just different. God uses people differently. People see differently through what God has given them. And they show up differently sometimes. And just because they're different than you, or because you're stuck in a certain way, or you put limits on yourself, doesn't mean you should put limits on other people.
I love that answer. I actually had an experience where someone basically said that I wasn't as saved because I didn't wear suits. And for me, it is hot most of the year. When we're in church, it's normally hot. Wearing a suit, it's just God has not given me that anointing to go through the heat that comes with it. Now, when God gives me that anointing, I will wear that suit. And I'm going to be clean. And he can be able to tell me nothing. But I can also be clean in my dress shirt, and my slacks, and my nice shoes. So I was so appalled at them. I was like, how can you say that? Like, you don't know the relationship that I have with God. My clothes do not dictate the relationship that I have with him. And for someone that's new in church, that could have really been a setback. Clothing in general, for people that are just coming to a church, trying to find a community of people, sometimes can be a whole different ball game. And when people don't necessarily know because they weren't raised in church, they may not know that, we wear this. So, I think it's really important that we don't, use clothes, specifically clothes, to put people down. I saw it came back to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I was gonna say. See, the devil tried to take it away from my mind. All right, I was gonna say that the church has to define the difference between, or recognize, I should say, the difference between having a standard and tradition. Because having a standard of holiness, that is one thing, but that's not your normal traditions that you decide that people just need to look like, to sound like, to act like, to be like. You know what I mean? And I feel like those get very muddied in a lot of places. And it ends up hurting people's feelings that didn't need to be hurt. Because it's your opinion. It's not the truth.
That's so good. It made me think about how a lot of the older saints, they didn't go to the movies. They didn't I don't even think they went skating or bowling because those were things they did when they weren't unsaved. So they were like, oh, we can't do that. Or the biggest one, play Uno. Like, I remember an experience where I was shunned with some friends because we were playing Uno, but we were just playing Uno. We weren't gambling or anything. We were playing Uno, but to the older saint, they felt like that was a sin. So we kind of just had to put the Uno up, and it kind of left me. I was like, but it's just Uno. We're not sinning, we just playing Uno. There's nothing wrong with that. But for them, it was like, no, we don't do that. You can't do that. That is breaking the standard. That is, and I get how the look is, like, so I can kind of understand, where they were coming from. But at the same time, I'm like, it's nothing wrong with that. So I definitely agree with that. So I'm going to ask this question. In your opinion, what are the main reasons you feel like people struggle with feeling and wanting to be accepted?
We've been socialized a certain way. We've been socialized to believe that there are certain standards of beauty, certain standards of success. If you don't look a certain way, don't do certain things, then you are looked upon a certain way. We also have the media that plays a role in certain narratives that it creates for us. And now social media, we are following different people. We can see their lives. We can see, what they're doing. And at times, although it's not good, we have all compared ourselves to other people in one way or another, whether we intended to or even recognize that we have. And so because of those things and a mixture of those things, I think that at times we second guess ourselves. We feel inadequate or insecure about certain things of ourselves. And so at times, because we don't truly love ourselves or we don't think we're worthy of certain things, it affects our relationships with other people. And so you may not fit into certain spaces because you don't think you can fit into certain spaces. That imposter syndrome is major. I think that plays a huge role into it. But also, even outside of that, people can be cruel and mean at times. Let's be honest. As kids, people that are bullied is often because other people are just being cruel and evil. It's nothing you've done. People just like to pick on people, again, who are different. And so all of those things play into it. But wanting to be accepted, to me, I say it, is overrated at times, because a lot of these people that you want to accept you and want to love you or to choose you have not loved or chosen themselves. And so we're expecting them to do something for us that they haven't even done for themselves. And so that's why I say it's overrated. Some people don't. Most of the people that are the ones bullying or pushing other people away or those things are people that do not love themselves. And we want them to love us, and they don't love themselves.
I have no words. Wanting to be accepted is overrated. I cannot agree with that more. And the way you just broke that down, that is, wow. Okay. Yeah, that was gems. You said a lot of gems. And then the imposter syndrome. Like, you can be so qualified to do something, capable. It's right there in your hands. Like, you know exactly how to do it. And then the enemy would come into your brain and say, you know what? You really can't do it. You're going to fail if you try. And then you just like, well, I really can't do it. When you really can. You can do that and more. Whew, that was good. That was good.
I think there are levels to it. to wanting to be accepted. I think that there is a healthy level. It's natural. It's an innate thing that we want, is to be accepted by our community or our friends or people that we've chosen. But there is a point where it becomes unhealthy, where you'll do anything to be accepted, where it's physically ailing you because people don't like what you are putting out, or you're so nervous, filled with anxiety, that people aren't gonna like you, even like you for you. I know, and I'll be transparent. That's what the healing table is for.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm in therapy, right? It has been a godsend. She is a woman of God, Holy Ghost filled. Praise God for her. I was praying for her for a long time to find her. So she tasked me with something not too long ago about showing up authentically, and really not worrying about whether or not you're accepted. Are you accepting yourself in every moment? Like, are you okay with you? Like, show up as you and be good with it. And the freedom that came with that was absolutely insane, because I did it. The world didn't end. Everything kept spinning. Like, I was fine. And I began to like myself more, because it wasn't contingent upon somebody else's reaction to that version that I put out.
Can I piggyback off Alex? Because I like what you said about, like, innately our human nature, of course, is to want to be liked and loved. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but like you said, when you go above and beyond to try to please people and you leave yourself along the way, that's the problem. But I think that people, how can I word this? And I love what you said about going to therapy too. Like, that's a key thing. Some people are grown children, if that makes sense. So people may have been hurt or rejected by a parent, or people may have been hurt or rejected or bullied as a child, or something may have happened to them where they were completely rejected, and it lingers with us. And so again, this is the healing table. So I want to throw in a moment for healing. Like our good sis Alex said, it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to go back and uproot those issues that make us want to be accepted, or go above and beyond, and we abandon ourselves to be accepted by others. So get the healing that you need. And it's not easy work. I know Alex will tell you it's hard work, but benefit. Sometimes, like, to be healed, sometimes you have to be cut, you have surgery to be healed. So it will hurt at times, but go back and uproot and ask yourself, well, why do I want to be accepted so bad? Why do I want these people to love me so bad? And I feel like when you find the root of that, or whatever may have happened to you, or whoever abandoned you, if you learn to forgive yourself, forgive people, then it will help you get to a place like we talked about now. But many of us are not in the place where we care as much anymore. But I do want to say that, because I know some people, everybody's not going to be in that place. We went through a certain healing process, or we've experienced or learned certain things that have us in the place that we are now. And so you have to do the work. The
work. You have to do the work. To authentically show up for yourself. A friend challenged me and they said, I want you to focus on being present. Not because I'm a futuristic thinking person. I think so much about what tomorrow holds. I think so much about what's coming next. And they was like, just sit in the present for a moment. Sit and bask in the present. Because when you do that, you allow yourself to mentally slow down. You allow yourself to physically slow down, and you can process. And so I love everything about showing up for yourself, because if you don't show up for yourself, then how can anybody else show up for you? Because every time you go into a space, you're not going to be there because you haven't showed up for yourself. So I love that. And I am such an advocate for therapy. If you feel like you need to go to therapy, psychologytoday.com. Psychologytoday.com. You can search for everything that you're looking for. If you're looking for someone that's white, if you're looking for someone that's black, whatever you're looking for, you can find Christian, looking for someone who deals with family issues, who deals with sexual abuse. You can find it up there. And
your specific insurance.
And you can even your specific insurance. And I want to encourage you to know that even if you find someone you feel like they're not fit for you, go back and try again. Because therapists are humans as well. So it could just be that person just didn't connect. You weren't able to connect with their person, with their being. And that's okay. It's so okay. So go back and try again. Wow. That was great. And it actually leads me to my next question of how important do you feel it is for churches to address mental health issues related to mental health issues in general? How important do you feel that is? And what can they do to support? What do you feel like churches can do to be there and to actually support us?
Alex, you want to take that one first?
I think it is extremely important for churches to acknowledge mental health because not everything, like Chair Lady said, not everything is a demon. Some stuff is really a chemical imbalance and is happening because of other things that have happened. It's so important. I think that every leader, every altar worker, everybody who's over youth, every leader in general really should, not necessarily that you have to go get a degree in psychology, but you got to know something. You have to know something. A small class here and there, just a little like a refresher, like a psychology 101, mental health 101, just something that makes you kind of understand where people may be coming from.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, sometimes it's important for everybody. Like, even if you don't think you need therapy, sometimes it's good to just know how humans react because of things that they've been through. Sometimes you may think that somebody's treating you funny. They're anxious. They got some other stuff going on the inside. They're an extreme introvert. They don't know what to do in that moment. They didn't see you. They're not trying to be rude. They got stuff that's happening on the inside. They got social anxiety or, dealing with a bout of depression. Like, it's, so I do think it's really important. For every church, every leader should have somebody come in and talk about it. Like, and it should not be as taboo as it is. You have to have the conversation about what's going on. There's people in your pews that are dying, like literally dying, spiritually dying. Like and sometimes they think that they don't need it because they're coming to your church and because they're in your pew. They think they don't need it. I'm going to church. I'm reading my Bible. I'm fine. I'm all right. That's just the devil trying to mess with me. Okay, but there's an avenue to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like if more pastors would adopt that and, let their church members, some of them just know it is okay, it would save a lot of people, especially the older generation who is suffering in silence because they just think they're supposed to.
Who?
Yeah.
So.
Especially the older generation. No, you're good. I just, especially the older generation, because, I was raised on my great aunt. And my great aunt and uncle, my late uncle, and they hold so much in. And it's until you really sit and talk to them, they have resilience, they have strength, but it's still there. And because it wasn't a topic that was ever able to be, spoken about, especially for Black men. And therapy, what are you talking about, boy? We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't cry. We don't do none of that. And I'm just like, well, I need to cry today. I need a hug. I need that today. I feel like if I get that, then I'll be able to go on with my day to just exhale and let go.
Yeah, I was going to start with something you said about it should not be as taboo as it is. We're all human. We all go through pain, trauma, heartbreak. But the main thing I want to add, because you said it so eloquently, it's not much for me to add, but just because you're struggling with mental health does not mean that it should be a question of your faith in God. I think too often we tie people's mental state to their faith, and I think it's not fair and it's inaccurate. We had David, he struggled with mental health at one point. He wanted to die. We have even, Jesus at times, pain and agonizing pain. He was in, God, take this cup from me. Those are questions of pain and your mental state, but not your faith. Because he wouldn't even have spoken to God if he didn't believe that he could heal him or deliver him. That's faith. I think we have to separate the difference between those things. And I think that's where we get it wrong sometimes, is that, you're not praying enough. You shouldn't be depressed. People have real life problems. Like you said, sometimes it's chemical. But even if it's not chemical, if somebody's child died and they're trying to process grief, you can't tell them that they can't grieve. If someone is dealing with a traumatic life experience, you can't tell them that they aren't praying hard enough because they're a little depressed. And if people are anxious, you can't tell them that you need to do this X, Y, and Z. Because most of the time people are already praying. So I've exhausted my prayers to God. Like, he's heard from me all day, every day. And like, again, Jesus as an example, sometimes we just want him to take the cup away from us. Like, and so, but again, that's not a question of your faith. That's our humanity, of how we deal with and struggle with issues from time to time. So I think that's the thing that the church needs to do, is separate the faith conversation a little bit from the mental health, and don't question people's faith because they're struggling mentally. And then, like Alex said, offer resources. If you are not an expert in it, bring someone in, because many of us are not experts in it. If you're not a psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker, or something in those fields, you're not an expert, and that's okay. You don't have to be an expert at everything, but it is our job to point people in the right direction and to offer resources for them to get better. And like you said, one website, BetterHelp is another website. I think BetterHelp may have a subscription program now. It's a more modern website, and they'll help you find a therapist. There are other options for people to get help. And lastly, I just want to end with this. It's okay to ask for help. You do not have to suffer alone. You don't have to pretend that everything is okay with you to make church people think that your faith is intact. You don't have to pretend that everything is okay with you to put on a mask every Sunday so you can continue to serve. If you are not okay, if you are broken, if you are hurting, God's healing is available. He wants you to be the best version of yourself, because he created you to be the best version of yourself. And so seek him to fill in the broken pieces, to mend you back together and to make you whole again. Like the woman with the issue, but she reached out to touch him. And because of that faith, he didn't have to touch her. Because of that faith, the Bible tells us she was made whole. So everything in her that was broken and needed to be rectified, he rectified it because she reached out to him. Ask for help if you need it.
Ask for help if you need it.
Yeah.
Ask for help if you need it. I mean, it's there. God, when he created us, he really put all the pieces there because he knew this life wasn't going to be easy. He knew it wasn't going to be an easy way. So he said, okay, I'm going to create doctors. I'm going to create lawyers. I'm going to create psychologists. I'm going to create people and put it innate in them to want to be there for people, to be those strong people. So that's why he's giving us these resources, but we have to use them. And first the first thing we have to do is identify that we need help. Because healing is an ongoing process, but it doesn't start until you identify that I need to be healed.
And accept it.
Because let's just be honest, trauma is something that I have never met one person that hasn't experienced some version of trauma at a young age. So that means we're coming into this world within the first 10 years of our life dealing with some type of trauma. And those traumas shape us. They mold us. And I feel like if at a younger age, our parents would have had us go to therapy, at a younger age, if those would have been resources, we would be different people. And I'm grateful to be who I am now. But when I think about bringing a child into this world, if something ever happens to them, I definitely would be taking them to therapy because they may not feel comfortable talking to me because I'm dad. You know, I'm the person that's supposed to, keep everything together. I don't want to talk to my dad or my mom about that. So let me give them that resource so they can go talk to a therapist. Whew, that was.
God wants you to be healed. He's a healer.
God wants to heal you,
but you have to seek Him.
He really does.
Back to that woman with the issue. I'm telling you, she wasn't even allowed to be out in public, but she heard the healer was coming. She said, "I don't care what y'all talking about. I'm going to get my healing."
Yeah.
Wasn't worried about being accepted. I want to get my healing. Get what you need from God. I'm not here to preach today, but get what you need from God. Literally, He is available to heal, not just our body. We expect Him to heal our body. If I get cancer, I'm going to expect Him to heal my body. But do you expect that He can heal your mind? Do you expect that He can bring you from, maybe you've been dealing with anxiety for 20 years, but do you believe He can heal you from it? I'm done. Sorry.
And the question really just becomes, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
How bad do you want to be made whole? How bad it is going with the ways of the world that important to you that you will not seek out your healing? You will not seek out being whole. You will not seek out wanting to be free from whatever it is that's keeping you bound.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, being like the world will only leave you ending up in more turmoil, and more depression. Because I'm gonna tell you, depression is running rampant in the world right now. It is running rapid, and I find that a lot of people that are dealing with it, when I meet them and I'm talking to them, I'm always encouraging them to just pray and to seek God, because that's always the one thing that they're not doing. But it's mainly because they don't even have someone in their space. They dealt with this. They're not going to church, and they're like, I didn't even think about that I needed to talk to God. I didn't even think about that God can help me with this. And for me, I'm just like, I know you don't think I can help you. I know you don't think your neighbor can help you. Your mom can't help you, because none of them have the power to heal. None of them have the power to break the chains, to break the shackles, to loose them, to free you from that space.
Yeah, the world can only put a Band-Aid on what God can repair surgically. Everything we turn to, drugs, alcohol, sex, people, they can put a Band-Aid on it. Band-Aid is temporary. You can't put a Band-Aid on a gash.
You can't.
You need surgical stitching to repair that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can't be just any surgeon, right? Because then you'll be like a really ugly scar.
Right? You need the right one. And his name is Jesus. That's Him.
His name is Jesus.
The master surgeon.
My gosh. The master surgeon. Because if you go get John to try to be your surgeon, or you go to try to get Tiffany to be your surgeon, they might put a little, what you call it on the, but it's going to.
That's what I'm saying. They going to expand the wound. People can do more damage than good. They don't know how to touch you the way He can. God will touch you the way you need to be touched. I'm done preaching today. Get me off this line.
Just one touch is all you need.
Just one touch.
Just one touch.
I just feel real churchy tonight. I don't know why. But really,
no, it's okay. It is okay.
But no, seriously, God, He really can heal everything. I think that's what we miss, is certain things we don't expect Him to be able to heal. He can heal your depression. He can heal you from suicidal thoughts. He can heal you from whatever it is. I promise He can do it. I promise it.
Yeah, He can. He really can.
Therapy in Jesus is a good 1-2 punch.
It's a good 1-2 punch. And that's really how you can really combat with even that desire to want to fit in, and that desire, that need, that hunger. Oh my God, I don't fit in. God, how do I fit in? But people really pray that, God, how can you make me fit in? And I know God just be like, I didn't create you to fit in. I called you to be different. Hey y'all, so this week's song is Called to Be by Jonathan Nelson. Go listen to it. Go get the playlist, the Healing Table Podcast playlist on Spotify and Apple Music. You will not be disappointed. Called to Be by Jonathan Nelson. While we're in this break, y'all, it's time for the meal of the week. This week is getting a little chilly outside, so I thought it was perfect to cook the stewed chicken. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with this meal at any time of the year. So go over to Instagram, find the video, and I want to see you make it yourself. Tag The Healing Table in your video. Now let's go back into the podcast. And that's what it really goes down to. Him calling us. God has called us in the various different areas of life. Some in the corporate world, some in the church, some in both. Some for women, some for men, some for youth, some for older. He's called us in different areas. And when he did that, he put things that would make us different, that would allow us to be able to connect. So I know for myself, I struggle with feeling different from my traumas, that different things that I went through. I was like, I'm not like my dad. I'm not like my mom. I'm not like my family. I don't fit into any of those places. And I would feel very weird when going around them. I would feel very like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how to, it would be really interesting because I didn't know how to deal with those emotions. Because I'm like, this is my family. I'm supposed to be comfortable around these people, but I don't feel comfortable. I'm not like them. So I struggle with that. Like, God, like, I want to be able to be around my family. He said, when your family's doing the stuff they're doing, you don't need to be in that space. That space is going to change your mind. That space is going to cloud your judgment. And he's like, I didn't create you to fit in with them.
What's that quote? That rejection was your protection?
Rejection.
I think that's the prime example of what you just said. Like, sometimes you can't fit in certain spaces because of the damage it could do to you. Like, that's like the little shapes trying to fit a circle into a square. Like, if you keep pressing, it's going to break it eventually. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, and you don't want to be broken, because that type of broken takes a lot to come out of that space. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of putting in when you're broken like that. So, what would you say? What would you say to those who are even struggling with the call that's on them? Because being different, that's a huge part of being different, being called by God. So those who are struggling with, God called me, he wants me to do this, he wants me to be different. I don't want to be different because I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be talked about. I don't want to be mistreated. What would you say to someone who's struggling with that?
Here I go being churchy. Who he called, he also justified. Who he justifies, he glorifies. That's the word. So being called is not easy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all. It's not. Being different is not always easy. Not fitting in is not always easy. But you have to trust that God has equipped you with what you need to make it in every situation, every assignment. With God before you, who can be against you? Even if you don't fit in, even if you don't have the support, even if you don't have the people you think you need, God will still get glory, and he will send the people that you really need. He will not leave you alone. That's his word. He's Jehovah Shammah. I will always be with you. And sometimes he uses people to be with you in his stead. And I feel like he sends you the right circle of people. He will send you the right mentors. He'll send you the right spiritual leaders. He'll send you the right friends, the right people to surround you in a place where you do truly fit in. I think to take away from this, we may not fit into every space, but we don't have to. We just need to fit in where we need to fit in and where he wants us to fit in and where we'll be the most effective. So you will have spaces where God will, and it'll be sometimes it's seasonal. He'll change people and change places and change things. And sometimes it's just once you get a certain age or you meet new people, he'll put the right people around you.
Absolutely. 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 That is 100%. The question was, what would you say to someone who is struggling with their call? Because their call, being called by God is being different is a great big part of being called by God. And so someone that is struggling with that, what would you say?
I think I answered it firstly from a perspective of getting people around you to make you fit in more. But I'm going to answer from this perspective as a person, whether it be ministry, business, whatever your calling is in life, God, at times, he's going to send you to the people that need what you possess. There's something he puts in you. When he calls you and you answer the call, there's something he puts in you that certain people will need to hear. Your gifts will make room for you. And so it doesn't mean you're always going to be in the largest quote unquote room. It may be 10 people that just need to hear your testimony, but your testimony may set them free. Like Alex, she shared a little bit of her testimony. It may be 20 women that need to hear what she has to say. So find faith and find peace in knowing that everything about you will be used for his glory. That's the essence of being called. Yeah. Everything about you, he will use for his glory. The good, the bad, the ugly, the parts of your testimony that you don't want to share, maybe what's needed to free someone else. So he's going to send you places to use and maximize your gift and calling.
That is very true. And something that I'm going to add to that, for those of you who feel like you're looking for support for whatever it is that you're supposed to be launching, don't look to your family or even your close friends for support, because they may not be the people that God gave it to you.
Absolutely.
Understand, I'm telling you, there are people that when I wrote my first book, I was like, there are people that it was reaching that I had no idea were even in my view, that was even in my audience. And I was like, I thought it was going to be these people was going to be supporting. I thought these people were going to be supporting. And somebody said that to me. They said, God didn't give you that for your family. He didn't give you that for them. He gave that to you to give to those others who you're able to relate to, who need what you went through, who need to understand from your perspective how to get through those things. So that's a very great point. Great point.
He will send you where you need to go. And in that, he will give you, like I said, back to my first point, he will give you people that you can pour into, but then he'll give you people that will pour back into you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So back to you with that same question. Can you answer now?
That is normal. That's probably what I would say. Just being honest. Realizing that you are called to do something different than everybody around you, than your friend group, than your family, can be heavy. It can be daunting, and that is okay to feel that. Don't feel ashamed of that feeling. Sit with it. Realize why you feel that way, because sometimes people feel that way because they don't feel like they're worthy, because they think that their past is going to have too much effect on their future. They don't think they deserve to be used by God because of whatever they've done or who they are or what they don't have. And that's worth looking into. Why do I feel that way? How can I make the steps to not feel that way? How can I work through those moments? Because you do have to get that out of the way before you can actually say yes. And then even if you're a little bit afraid or shaky, if God is calling you, obviously he's equipped you, like you said, and he's going to give you the tools to do everything that you need to do. He's not going to tell you to build a giant ark and not supply all of the wood and the workers and the animals to come along. Like that's just not how he operates. And sometimes we don't see how to move forward in it, but he's going to show us, but we have to pay attention to him. We got to listen to him and understand his voice and know that it's him that's leading you in the different directions that we need to go. But it can be scary. Because sometimes he just tells you to take a couple steps, but it looks like you're about to fall off a cliff.
That's so true.
But taking that step, you'll be able to see where he's actually leading you. You know what I mean? So that's honestly the first thing I would tell them, is that your feelings are valid, but let's look at them and reassess and talk to him about it. Oh my goodness. He's called you to it. He has this whole plan for you. Talk to him about the plan. Like, Lord, I don't know. I don't know how you want me to do this. I'm agreeing. I'm saying yes, but you're going to have to help me because I don't understand. So have conversations with your God.
Hello?
I mean, hello? Like this, that's your friend. That's your savior. That's your buddy. And you got to have that relationship with him to be like, okay, I trust you. I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how to do this, but I trust you. So I'm gonna move. I'm gonna go into it. Because I know you got my back. You're not somebody that's gonna let me fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this.
No, that is 100% correct. I mean, even in doing this podcast, I was like, Lord, he gave this idea a year and a half ago. And I was like, everything was coming up and he was like, the time is now, the time is now, the time is now. And I was like, dear Lord, okay, I hear you. Give me structure. And I thank God for my good sis, Jordan, because she heard something from God and I took it and I did a fast and God gave me so much clarity. When I say the clarity that God will give you, sometimes you got to put your plate down, y'all. I know that food is good. We're going to talk about food in a minute. I'm going to give y'all a recipe. But let me tell you, I know the food is good. But sometimes you got to just take some time and just spend it with God. Spend it with prayer. And someone once asked me, they said, well, your prayers be getting answered. What kind of way do you pray? How do you pray? I'm going to be honest with y'all. Just like this. Lord, I don't understand. And I talk to God like that. We have that relationship. God, people, I think people think you got to be like, oh God, I need you. And sometimes you do got to cry out. Sometimes you have to go to that place and you have to wail. But you can talk to God just like we talking to each other right now. And guess what? Once you finish talking, just sit there. Sit in his presence. Sit, because he's going to begin to speak.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes he'll just tell you, I will reveal it as you start. And that's what Sister Alex was saying. She was like, sometimes you got to take those first 3 steps. Like an eagle. When they have babies, they just take their babies and throw them out. They took that leap and
go figure it out.
And the parent, you gonna figure it out. You gonna figure it out. But the parent is right there. If the baby looks like they getting too low to the ground, what the mama gonna do? She gonna scoop down and grab her. But guess what? She gonna throw the baby back out again.
Yeah.
And by that 3rd or 4th time from doing that, the process has been made, and now you know how to fly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So take that step. It's a very what was you gonna say?
Can you imagine like how many of us like have been like in our falling moment where we've been pushed out and we're like, we feel like we're flailing like in those moments, and it's just I think seeing like that imagery is really cool because he's not going to let us fall to the ground. That's not who he is. He's coming to scoop us up.
Yeah, definitely.
Every time. I can say I've been in those moments and I'm just like, a lot of times we think we're really at our breaking points too. Like we'd be like, God, this is my breaking point. And then God is like, it's really not. Yeah. It's really not. I didn't take you to that place. I know exactly how much you can take. Because I made you. Because I made you. So I know what you're breaking. I will agree. This is a low moment you're going through. Yes, you are, my child. You're going through. But it's because I've created a purpose for you. And in order to cause you to understand and to be grateful, I have to take you through this experience.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be grateful for the things we had if God didn't give us a reason to be grateful for them. So many things we take for granted. So, yeah. Y'all, listen, if you're struggling with wanting to be accepted, you're struggling with the call that God has put in your life, you don't feel like you're capable of doing it, understand that His grace is sufficient and covers you.
Mm-hmm.
It does apply to you, not just the people that you tell, oh, God's grace is sufficient. God's grace, it applies to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And know that it's okay for you to be different. He created you to be different. He didn't make you to fit into this mode and to fit into this mode. He created you and gave you your own identity.
It's better to be different. Everybody else is taken. Be you. Greatness always stands out. Anointing always stands out. You can't change the world if you're like everybody else. People that change the world are different for a reason. They see different. They move different. They act different. If everybody was the same, then what would we be? I know I would be bored, y'all.
Bored.
Do you want to be great, or do you just want to be like everybody else? Questions to ask yourself. Do I really want to be great? Do I want to be successful? Because if you do, you have to be different. You have to be different. You have to see something that nobody else can see. Like Alex said, like that staircase example. Faith is taking the first step without seeing the rest of the staircase. I don't know if I'm about to fall off a cliff or what, but I'm a step. That's faith. So be different. Stay different. It's better.
He made us peculiar people for a reason. Yeah. And I made a post not too long ago that said he's particular about the peculiar.
That's a word.
So
I'm going to have to take that as a sermon.
That's an entire word.
You preached that yet? Yeah, I'm about to take that.
Yeah. He's peculiar. Yeah.
Particular about
He's particular about
I like
the peculiar.
That.
He's particular.
He don't play about his children.
He don't play about his children. He don't.
Yeah.
He really doesn't.
Well, I feel like, if you're listening or watching and you are contemplating following the calling on your life, just make the step. Go forward. He has got you. Everything you need, He's going to supply. The people that need to receive you, He will bring them to you. He will take your voice to them. Trust in His word.
One last point for me, and I'm going to shut up because I've been talking a lot. Don't look at the results or the numbers of things when you're called. Impact cannot be judged by numbers. We plant seeds where we go. We impact and influence people, but that cannot be quantified. Only qualified. I'm done. That's it.
And that's it, y'all. That's really it. So I just want to say thank you to Jordan Mitchell and thank you to Alexandra Gatlin-Cornick for being here for this first episode. Y'all, I just don't want to fit in, but I wasn't made to fit in. Simply that.
Simply.
So thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. See us back for episode 2. All right?
Bless you.
We hope you enjoyed your time at the table. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us at The Healing Table Podcast on Instagram. We hope to see you next time at the table.